For my garbage person of the week, I'm gonna do something that almost never happens. I chose this garbage person and then I spent, I don't know, Marissa, what do you think? 30 minutes trying to find a different one because I did not want to talk about this. This is a talk show where we talk about things. Arguably, the only skill I have, to the extent that I have it, is that I talk about things. And I'm gonna try, even though this did end up being my garbage person, I don't want to talk about it. I really don't. I'm gonna tell you what it is, and then we're gonna dabble in it, but I don't want to talk about it. My garbage person of the week, if we can bring up an emblematic article about it, is going to be Tucker Carlson for his broadcast from Hungary and his just complete whitewashing of the regime of Hungary, what it's done, but much more importantly, why he's doing this, what lessons he wants the right in America to take away from it. And I couldn't choose anything else because this is just too bad, but that does not mean that I want to talk about it. Read articles like that. Let's bring up the headline again. I want you to go to those articles and I want you to read about all the reasons it's bad and all of what Orban's done and how they've taken over 90% of the media and how they technically have elections, but they don't count for anything. That sort of competitive authoritarianism is what Tucker Carlson, the right, wants to set up here. Let's still have elections, so it seems as if we have a democracy, but have those elections have no meaningful bearing on who wields power and the chance. There's no connection between what people want and the government they get. That's what Hungary has, that's what they want here. And it's one thing for Tucker Carlson to do it. It's abhorrent for him to go to Hungary and talk about how awesome they are when a show like his couldn't even exist in Hungary unless the government allowed it and gave it its sanction. But then, there's people that are pushing back on him and criticizing him, but there's a lot of other people who should know better that are refusing to do so, refusing to get that he is not doing this because he just loves Hungary. He's a Hungrophile. He just wants to give him like a little tip of the hat. He's doing it to bring it here. He's going to do that. That's the government he wants. Whether Tucker runs for office and becomes that fascist leader, or whether he just continues to support the ones that are here right now, that's the point of it. And we will not survive this as a country unless we are unified in identifying it and fighting back against it. But not a lot of people are doing that, unfortunately, who should know better and who should understand the stakes here. That said, right now, I don't want to talk about it anymore because I am so sick of him and all of his BS. I'm sick of the fact that he can throw out things like the FBI did January 6th and the NSA is trying to cancel my program. And then I'm good, I'm just gonna move on. I'm just gonna throw that out there and then that's it. People defend me and then I'm just gonna pretend that I never said that. I'm just sick of so much of it, Brett, but that's my garbage person.
If we had an Orban style country, the NSA could cancel a show.
Yeah.
It could. So Tucker, for your own logic, and all those schmuckos who pretend that at least I am pro censorship or whatever, which is BS. You won't be finding that. Dude, your own logic against you is you advocating for a system where if the government doesn't agree with you, you have lost 90% of your ability to access it, and the other 10, I'm sure, doesn't even really have any bearing on it. He chased a university out of the country in Hungary.
Orban did, yes.
Orban did. Things just like your refresher course on Viktor Orban is basically when you say in America it's weird that we get 50% plus of the vote goes to a presidential candidate and he doesn't win the election or she doesn't win the election. Multiply that by 1 million, and that's Hungary.
Yeah,
that thing where it's like, how did the Democratic senators get, 40 million more people voted for Democratic senators, and yet there are more Republican senators? That's times 10 is what it's like in Hungary. When they say competitive democracy, it still makes it sound like it's competitive. It's not. It is fake election BS. Like he got less than 50% of the vote for his party and ended up with like 65% of the parliament. Like that stuff, gerrymandering times 1 million is that style. And that's exactly what Tucker wants.
It is. And we're gonna,
because he's a white supremacist.
We're gonna pretend that it's not, that maybe we should work with him. Maybe he's reasonable or whatever. Let's do another write-up in like a glossy magazine about how he's really thinking differently than other right-wing pundits. No, he's not. And the goal is the same. And we're just gonna roll into a primary where he's gonna be the candidate, and then the same people who aren't gonna be checking him now are gonna be saying, well, maybe it's not so bad if he becomes president. Actually, maybe that's the shock to the system we need as we transition to never having competitive elections again.
And tell me what to put. Tell me what to put says, how's Hungary still in the EU? Well, there's like a subset of Eastern European conservative countries that kicked Hungary out. They're like, they went crazy.
Okay, well, look, those are our garbage people, but we also had you vote for the community garbage person of the week. And we actually had 2 posts combined, had 44,500 votes. Now, with 2, you might think, well, which one are you going with? Actually, while the percentages are slightly different between the 2 posts, the ranking is exactly the that actually still works. Coming in at number 5 with just 3% of the vote, Alexander Lukashenko for generally being tyrannical. Really, just 3%? That is crazy. Anyway, coming in number 4 with 7% of the vote.
Too long, didn't read.
Probably.
Name is TLDR.
Representative Jim Clyburn for negatively affecting the Ohio 11 race. That's a good one. Number 3 with 11% of the vote, you have Andrew Cuomo for not resigning over sexual harassment claims. So not that critical on Andrew Cuomo there. Coming in number 2 with 12% of the vote, Kevin McCarthy for threatening violence against Speaker Pelosi. I mean, I didn't like the joke either, but is that worse than the sexual harassment? You guys, I don't understand always. But number 1, I definitely understand. You really wanted with 64 to 8% of the vote, Ron DeSantis for contributing to the rise of COVID in Florida. Not a lot of debate in the community right there. Not fans of Ron DeSantis. So thank you for everyone who voted. Close to 50,000 of you did. That's your community garbage person of the week.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.